Constable here. Welcome to day 5 of this video series. Have you enjoyed the video series? Have you felt you've gotten something useful out of it? I hope you have. Sometimes whenever I watch videos like this, it feels good for me because it almost feels like someone has just given me permission to take a deep breath and relax, because sometimes we need permission to take a deep breath and relax. So if you need permission to just say, you know what, I'm going to do my best and hopefully my best is going to be good enough. And if it isn't going to be good enough, well, I'm okay with that. If you need someone to give you permission to say that to yourself, then take this as that, because you only get one shot at life and we all just have to make the best of it that we can. And if you aim for consistency over perfection, you definitely have a much better chance of being successful in anything you take on. And so today's video is all about how much we plan things that just don't go to plan and how we can react better to them. That didn't really make sense. Let me reshape that. What I've written here for the intro is, no matter how much we plan, things always go pear-shaped. And because life is not linear, life is full of curveballs. And I have certainly many times reached the end of the holiday period, or I've had a plan for dieting for the stage or for how something's going to go in the business, and the plan just hasn't gone as I imagined, and I've had to pivot and I've had to be flexible and I've had to change what it was I was going to do. And sometimes then I've gotten to the end of whatever it was I was working on and I feel that I failed in some way and I almost feel empty inside. And I know that the holidays can actually do this to us, especially if we do have a health and fitness goal that we are working towards, that we don't end up sticking to. We make promises to ourselves. We say we're going to show up to the gym. We say we're going to do cardio. We say we're going to eat healthy, and then we end up not doing it. And you can then get to the end of this holiday season with the greatest intentions in the world, get to the end of it and realize that you didn't do any of it and allow that to derail you because you feel guilty. And I don't want this to happen to you, because you have to remind yourself that every step forward that you take, even if it's just watching these videos, even if it's just your intention, you're still moving forward. You might not be going at the pace of, at the speed of light, but you are still moving forward. And I was thinking about this recently whenever I was planning the content for this video. And I was thinking about how one of the things I have mastered that I really would love to help you guys master is how to lean into pain and lean into discomfort and get really, really good at saying, you know what, it's okay because this too shall pass. I actually saw it in a video the other day. Tom Hanks was talking about it and he was saying he wishes he could go back and say to his younger self, you know what, Tom, don't worry because this too shall pass. Because it is something that I have learned through running the business. And I remember a few years ago, whenever COVID hit, my business was still relatively young in its infancy. I started the company in late 2017, but it really kind of took off in 2018. And COVID hit in 2020, and so I was really a startup. We'd only been going for 2 years, and I remember I had planned this enormous launch of the Sculpt and Shred program, which many of you will know, and it was a $1,500 program. We had planned this enormous launch where we invite people to attend webinars and then we sell the program at the end of the webinars. And the problem with this kind of strategy in business is that you have to spend all the money up front to get people into the webinars and then they purchase at the end. But I'd already done quite a few of these launches and I knew the numbers and I knew how much it would cost to get a certain amount of people into the webinars, and then I predicted what I would be able to make in revenue afterwards. And so what happened was I spent £100,000 on my American Express card, £100,000 in Facebook ad spend. Now my American Express is a charge card, which means it needs paid off at the end of every month. I didn't have 100,000 in my bank account at the time, or I think I just had 100,000, or I just had over 100,000. It wasn't a huge amount of money. My company was making a lot of money at the time, but we were spending a lot of money as well on growing the business. And so I definitely took a risk in spending that money on my credit card, but it was a calculated risk because I had a lot of data that if I did this in a certain launch, the money would come in at the end. Well, COVID hit the day of my first webinar. So I had put 100,000 on a credit card, and then COVID hit the day of my first webinar. And I should have had 10,000 people register for the webinar. I should have had thousands of people show up live, and I think I had 33. And at the end of the webinar, nobody purchased. And I remember being like completely shocked, like what is going on? And when I say COVID hit, it really kind of hit globally, where businesses started shutting down, gyms started shutting down. The pandemic really reached, you know, a critical stage. And I completely panicked because I couldn't afford to pay that credit card bill. If this launch went tits up, not only was I out of business, I would have owed American Express £100,000. And nobody knew what was going to happen during COVID. And it was genuinely one of the most stressful periods of my life, because I had not as many employees as I have now, but I had a small team who were dependent on me for their wages, and it was extremely stressful. But what I did was I pivoted and I looked at what people needed, and I created the Jailhouse Shred program. In fact, we ended up pivoting in the launch as well, creating home programs and whatever else. We actually ended up making about $250,000 in the launch. So I was able to pay off my credit card bill, but it still left me in a very vulnerable situation because I was expecting to make over $1 million in that launch. So what happened was I pivoted very quickly, and I started the Jailhouse Shred, or I created the Jailhouse Shred, and we went from idea to launch in 2 weeks. And we made 230,000 in that launch. And then I went on to launch program after program after program after program. So I got myself out of the situation and actually doubled my company's turnover in that next year. Now, I did it again though, a few years later. I learned from that. What I learned from that was I can get through hard times, right? I can get through really, really hard times. And I thought, phew, I got through that really hard time. That'll never happen again. But unfortunately, it did happen again a couple of years later, in that I just took my eye off the ball with spending. This beautiful building that we're in now in the business, where we own this beautiful office building. I had committed to buy this building, and I needed to have a certain amount of money to buy the building. And whenever it came to it, I realized that I was going to be very, very short in, I needed about 200,000, I think, £230,000 to complete the sale of the building, and I didn't have the cash. And I genuinely didn't know what I was going to do because I was committed to buying the building. But again, I pivoted, I looked, I moved things around, I launched a new product, and I ended up making 330,000 to buy the building. Why am I telling you these business stories? I'm telling you these business stories because I have realized that every single time something goes wrong, or every single time shit hits the fan or things go tits up, it's always fine. And even if it isn't fine, even if I had have lost the business, even if I had have lost everything, even if I had have lost the house and we had have, you know, moved into a smaller house with my kids, we still would have been fine. I wasn't going to die. And I think because I've taken so many risks in the business now, and I've nearly lost the business 3 times, believe it or not, nearly not lost the business, but in an extreme financial hardship where genuinely I thought I was going to lose the company 3 times since I started the business in 2017. But I've now realized this is the journey of being an entrepreneur. I am a risk taker in life. And the reason why I gain big is because I risk big. In order to gain big, you have to risk big. If you always play it safe, you probably will achieve a goal or achieve your goal, but you're never going to win big by playing it safe. All of the really successful people that I know in my life play big, they risk big, but because they risk big, sometimes they lose big. And that is what life is about. Life is not linear, life is not perfect. Sometimes things go pear-shaped. And I'm giving you these really extreme stories of mine, you know, like if my business went under, recently we were in a pretty tight financial situation with having invested a lot of money to build the Only Fitness app. And honestly, I thought I was going to lose my company. And if I lose my company, 40 people lose their job. And, you know, the stakes are higher now. But whenever that happened, I just leaned into it. I just leaned into the discomfort. And I just said, you know what? My success rate for getting through hard times is 100%. And so just lean into it. Just accept that this is part of the journey. Don't panic, and things will turn out well, things will work out for you. And they did. Not only did they work out for me, they worked out far better for me. And so what I want to encourage you to think about as you go into this busy, stressful holiday period is that no matter what life throws at you, whether on a micro scale you get to the gym or you follow your diet or you don't, whether you do it perfectly or you do it 20% or 30% or 50% or 100%, it really doesn't matter. If you do it 100%, great. If you do it 80%, great. If you do it 20%, lean into it and say, well, I've learned. And this 20% isn't actually going to really mean anything in the long run because I get to pick myself up and start again, maybe with the 8-week maximum body burn $50,000 challenge that the Sculpted Vegan has starting on September 2nd. I did my best. My best left me in the gutter, having done nothing all over the holiday season, despite my best plans. Now I have more data about what I can do and what I can't do, and I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to move on into 2024 with much more data on myself and what I'm capable of. And that's a wonderful thing. So you didn't really fail. You did fail, but you learned. So you either succeed or you learn. And even if you fail dramatically over this period, just give yourself a little grace. Maybe you're just too busy to go to the gym and meal prep and eat healthily over Christmas. Maybe you need in future to schedule, like I do, this period into your diary of intense rest, which means that leading up to this period in future, you go harder in the gym, you go harder with your fitness, you go harder with your dieting to give yourself that wiggle room to have this time off. Maybe you just weren't meant to train over this 2023 holiday period. Whatever happens over this holiday season, I want you to lean into it. If you have amazing success, fantastic, lean into it, enjoy it, because this too will pass. If you fail and fall flat on your face, lean into it, because this too shall pass. Life is full of ups and downs. Nothing in life is linear. And the more flexible you can be, the more likely you are to succeed. People who are rigid and rule-bound and have to have everything perfect and in order are actually the ones who experience the least amount of success. Your willingness to be flexible is in direct correlation to your ability to be successful in life. The most successful people are genuinely the most flexible. So how flexible can you be with yourself over this holiday period? How much grace can you give yourself? How much can you see your successes and your failures as data? They're not personal to you. They don't mean anything about your character or your soul. You are not a bad person. You're just a person that sometimes can show up to the gym and meal prep and follow a plan, and sometimes you can't. Doesn't mean anything about you. So I think it's really important to push this message home. I really wanted the final video of this series to focus on this, because I think sometimes we can become so focused on strategies. I could have shown up here for 5 days and given you strategy after strategy after strategy, and you could have thought, Kim Constable, the Sculpted Vegan, she's so successful, like she's always on her goals, she's always going to the gym, she runs this this multi-million-dollar company, and you could think I'm a person without failure, because on the surface, or the appearance of it all, is of a woman of immense success. That's what people tell me, like, you have incredible success, you're so inspiring. And I hope that I do inspire you, but I hope that I inspire you as much from my failures as from my successes, because believe me, I have failed more times than probably every single one of you watching this. But you just don't see the failures on social media, not because I don't share them, but because usually whenever you're in the thick of the failures, the last thing that you have the time to do is to share them. Sharing them usually comes after the fact. So let me tell you, I am successful because I am a failure. Because I fail and fail and fail every day. And what I do differently to most people is I don't make it mean anything about me, other than I have more data about my limitations. And I use that data to plan better for the future so I can have more success. So I want to encourage you to think a little differently about yourself this holiday season. Don't judge yourself, don't punish yourself. Just accept the what is and see it all as data and all as learning. And when you separate your personhood from the data, I promise you, your path to success becomes so much more clear. So wherever you are in the world, however you are celebrating, whether you are alone in a country by yourself and your family are in a different country and you're with newfound friends, or whether you're surrounded by your friends and family, or Whether you don't celebrate the holiday season, but you're just enjoying the festivities and the food and the movies on TV, however you choose to celebrate, I want to take this opportunity to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a very happy holidays, or whatever the greeting is that is personal to you. Pretend that I'm giving you that greeting, because that is the intention coming from my heart to yours. And I just want to say thank you so much for supporting me this year. Thank you so much for all of the programs you've purchased, all of the comments that you've left on Facebook, all of the inspiring messages, all of the work you've put in, all of the photos you've shared, for all of your vulnerability, and for giving so much of you to the company and to the other members and to yourself, actually, because you showing up for yourself every single day and being better every single day helps me to be better every single day. And I just wanted you to know how important you are to me and how much I love you and how much I'm looking forward to a fantastic 2024 together. So that's it from me. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Have a very happy holidays, and I will see you bright and early and fit and happy in 2024. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.